Hello, my name is Rhiannon, and I'm really thrilled today to have a chance to chat with Jenni. And Jenni, thank you so much for being prepared to answer some questions for me. The first thing I'd love to ask is just tell us a bit about yourself and your background, and particularly about your view of God in the past. You know, what you've thought about church and God things in the past.
So, grew up in a big family. I'm one of 8, and I've got 7 brothers. Yeah.
Wow.
No one in my family are particularly religious, any sort of way. The way I sort of come into touch with God, or knowing something about God, is the usual in primary school, the play of Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. So that's my first real kind of thing into God, and it somehow relates to Christmas, but to me it was Santa growing up. And then my middle school, I think I'm allowed to say, I went to St James Middle School in Bury St Edmunds. So obviously through that we had certain assemblies in the big church and that, and there was bits and pieces. I used to like some of the songs because they were fun to sing at school, but I never really sort of clicked onto anything, you know. It was just always sort of there. It wasn't a massively, I'd say, like heavy driven religious school, if that's the right way of saying it. So and then, you know, growing up, it might have been the odd bits and pieces here and there, but it was never heavily in my life.
So what changed? What changed?
It was when I got a bit older and I was kind of sofa surfing for a little while, sort of almost sort of near the early 20s. I know I went to church with a friend of mine because I was like, I want to go, and it was like a gospel church, so like the really big singing, a bit like Sister Act, as I like to put it.
Wow.
I really love Sister. The songs are really sort of catchy. And so I went for a bit, and I did join a church, and then I decided I wanted to be baptized. So I got baptized, and then I was going to church, and then obviously I kind of had to move. So I kind of didn't really go to church because I was still kind of hopping around with where I'm living, where am I going, and it was still in the back of my mind, but I felt like I couldn't quite go back to that church because I lived too far away. I didn't know what other church to go to, so I left it. It was left for years and years, and then my niece, who is I can't remember how old she is now, I think she's only about 3, I got asked to be her godmother. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what do I do? Because I'm an auntie already to her. So a friend, my daughter's friend, parents, they go to church, and I asked her because obviously I thought, well, if they really, with my brother and his girlfriend, really want me to have the religious side, I'd be like, well, I kind of want to know more. And it was before that I'd even forgotten, or not, it was in the back of my mind about going to church anyway. It was, you know, we had so much going on with my daughter. So I went, somebody was actually having a baby baptized, because I couldn't even remember. I've never really been to a baptism before. So I went, and my daughter came with me, and then we went another week, and she went to Sunday school, and I went with her, which was lots of fun. And it felt, I don't know, when I went in the church, it felt right. Like I was at peace. It's probably a bit like maybe for some people, like when they go to look at a house, they feel like this is it. Or when looking for a school for their child, like, oh, this is school. It was kind of that sort of feeling I had, and I was like, oh, you know, I really want to go. So then I started going to church with my friend, and obviously our children are friends, and they're now parents, godparents to my daughter, because she later on decided that she wanted to, and it's progressed from there, really.
So Jenni, thank you. I mean, that's a beautiful story. What would you say to other Christians now who want to share something about their faith with people who might call themselves totally non-religious? What would your top tips be?
I mean, I know that feeling, because if I tell, I mean, I'm not shy about being Christian, but I don't broadcast it. Some people may be shocked that I go to church now, because the running joke was if I went through the church doors, it would burn. As that banter joke of just because, you know, I used to drink a lot, party a lot, you know, you wouldn't associate with what people may associate Christians being like, oh,
yeah,
not saying they're too goody two shoes, but you know, they do everything right, they don't do anything wrong.
How wrong they are, people who think that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know, it's kind of, and it can be a bit intimidating for people, whether they've done drugs or stealing, you know, that kind of background to go in, and some people can judge them really quickly. Not anybody can, and I think it's just learning to accept that people are changing, and it takes time to change.
People are,
and even like their journey into exploring whether Christianity is for them or not, because it might not quite suit them at that time. I find even if you start off like I did, and then it kind of hit a pause button, it will come to you later. It's the kind of timing that you don't know about.
Yeah,
it's going to come into place, and I can't really say, oh, it'll be 6 months time, you know. It's I think it's that time in your life where it kind of hits the change, and that's the time things will start changing without you realizing. So it's kind of,
so recognize people change, give it time.
And people might, you know, they might bounce, you know, forward and take 2 steps back with everything. And it's kind of, you've got to learn your patience. I mean, I'm thinking of the disciples and everything I'm learning, because I'm not a whiz with the Bible. I forget half the names that are in there. If you ask me to revert to a story, I'm like, I can't remember who you're talking about. I know what's going on, but I can't remember the names. You know, there's times where people in the Bible is a bit like that, and you do have to wait and be patient, and you can't get answers like that. And for people who are maybe wanting to try encourage a little bit but not push, it can sometimes seem like, say if you've got somebody who's, you know, saying, oh, you must follow God, you must follow and things like that, and it can sound very pushy. They might not mean it in that way, but some can. It's just try not to, it's kind of like when you're trying to teach a child basically something. If you push them too much, it's not going to happen.
Be patient, don't push, encourage. Jenni, thank you so much for those top tips, really helpful, and just lovely to hear your story. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's okay.